I don't speak Spanish. The only thing I know how to say is buenos días. Okay. Buenos tardes. ¿Cómo se llama? Just a few words. I would like to thank you for being here. And I also would like to thank the Freedom Forum for inviting me. And I appreciate very much the work that they're doing to make sure this world, all the abuses, all the injustice that's going on in the world, to make things better for a lot of people. Haiti is my birthplace. In 1492, Christopher Columbus landed in Haiti. He was looking for a trade route to China, and he met the Taino Indians. The Indians were abused, they were enslaved, and eventually they were massacred. In the 1600s, the French took over half of the island and called it Hispaniola. The land was fertile, very rich land, and the Indians had just disappeared. Where do you get people to work the land as slaves? Well, the French went to Africa and brought Africans into the island. And the Africans, they made France a very rich country. They produced coffee, cotton, tobacco. The Frenchmen had children with the slaves. Then eventually, you have a different race of people, or a different color of people, or you have métis, you have blacks, you have blacker. So the very, very dark-skinned people work in the field. And it's like Haiti, it's a land that was born, that was created with a slave culture. In other words, can you imagine a baby is born? How does this baby absorb this culture, acquire this culture? The sound, the people's attitude, the smell. So, in other words, the culture of slavery had been in Haiti long before the Africans arrived. I grew up a slave. I grew up a slave. In 1804, the slaves fought for their independence. They broke the chain of slavery. They freed themselves. That's after 200 years of slavery. The French left. The very people who used to be slaves, who had been enslaved, now became slave masters. They take children, very poor children. Some of these children sometimes were given to them as wedding gifts from relatives. I grew up not knowing what slavery was, but yet I was in it. I grew up in a family where every night I slept under the kitchen table. Every morning I was awakened with a kick Then I have to pick up my bedding, usually a piece of cardboard. I have to take it outside. Then I began to sweep the yard. Then I light the fire. Then I clean the house. I thought this was normal. Then as I got older, I was sent out to fetch water because most homes didn't have running water. But I would say maybe I was 7 or 8 years old when I was carrying a bucket of water that weighs about 40 pounds. You walk the street. When you notice a home or children leaving somebody's yards with buckets of water, you go in there and fetch water and get the water, you bring it home. But I noticed most of the children who went out to fetch water were little girls. Most of them were little girls. If there were 20 children waiting to carry water to their homes, I would say 18 of them were girls. And I thought this was normal. We didn't go to school. We didn't have a last name. I cannot tell you how old am I. I cannot tell you what day I was born in, what month I was born in, what year I was born in. Because slaves didn't have birth certificate. There were properties. So even after slavery was over, children who became slaves, who took in as slaves, but they don't call them slaves. They call them stay with. The child that is staying with me. In French, the word is Restavec. That means you stay with the family, but you're not a member of the family. If you're not a member of the family, you don't eat with the family. If the family is watching television, you're not welcome to sit with them in the living room. The only time you allow in the house was to clean it. When you are eating, you eat outside, under the tree or behind the house. You are not allowed to speak unless spoken to. You're not allowed to be seen unless they call you. You have to be somewhere behind the house or in a corner. And I thought this was normal. But something happened. Something that I noticed, I witnessed, if you will, that told me, even as a child, I was 10 years old, when I witnessed something that made me cry. And I still cry when I think of it. A child slave is not purchased. There's no market. You can't go and buy a child slave. So if you live in the city, and you get married, you have a family, then either the relative of the groom or the relative of the bride would give you a child, usually a little girl, as a wedding gift. And it's like you decide what you want to name this child. Because when they give you the child, they don't give you a birth certificate. They don't tell you what her name is. You receive this child like a puppy. You give the child a name. Usually a first name. The child does not have a last name. When I was about 10 years old, I remember there was a man that came to visit. The adults were not around. In other words, my owners were not around. And the man said, "Where are your owners?" I said, they're not home. And he said, "Well, when they return, tell them Mr. So-and-so came to visit them." So when the adults came, I couldn't go to them and said, "You had a visitor." No, I wasn't allowed to speak to them unless they spoke to me first, unless they questioned me. "Bobby," they call me Bobby. "Bobby, did we have a visitor?" "Yes." "What was his name?" "Oh, I forgot his name." At that point, I was enrolled in a literacy center, which was across the street. It was run by an NGO, an international organization that worked on literacy. I was allowed to go from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., just enough for me to learn ABCs, 1, 2, 3, adding and subtracting. After 2 years, I was told, "Now you can write somebody's name. You're not allowed to go anymore." The family it was a family of 6 people, 3 adults, and 3 children. The first child was born, maybe I was 8 years old, and when she was able to go to kindergarten, my job was to carry her on my back to school. In the morning, in the afternoon, I have to go to the school to carry her back home. But I had told you before that I witnessed something terrible that made me realize that what was going on was wrong. But I was not sure. I was not sure it was wrong because I grew up in the system. Nobody ever used the word slaves. They call us Restavec. I was going to fetch water with a bucket, and I took a shortcut through somebody's yard, and there was a little girl. She was maybe 13 or 14 years old. She was always scrubbing the laundry. She and we never made eye contact because her head was always down, scrubbing laundry. Then one day, I saw a group of women in a circle, and this little girl was on the floor, on the ground. They had beaten her. And after they beat her, they took a pepper, jalapeno pepper, and then they put in her vagina. I was looking at this. I started to cry. She got up. She ran into a ravine where there was a stream, and she sat on the stream. She was screaming. I was screaming. I was not in pain, but I was screaming. And I started to hate adults in my country. I became so afraid of them. Then one day I was going to the market, and I had to walk in front of the National Palace. It was about 6 o'clock in the afternoon. There was a flag ceremony. They were bringing down the flag. And I saw everybody standing. Nobody was moving. And I kept walking, and I'm looking. Why all those people were standing? And then suddenly, after the ceremony, a policeman ran after me and grabbed me and beat me bloodied. And after he beat me, he said, "That will teach you, next time you see a flag ceremony, you stop like everybody else." I was petrified in my own country. And the children, when they are celebrating their birthday, I had to sing them happy birthday. But nobody ever sung happy birthday to me. So in my mind, I was not really a person. I was not a real person. Because nobody ever asked me, when is your birthday in Haiti? I sung happy birthday to children in the house, but nobody ever sung happy birthday to me. Well, the family left. I was maybe 15 years old. They came to the United States. They landed in New York. They were so used to having a child slave, they arranged for me to come to New York. But to come to New York, I would have to have a passport. I would have to have a birth certificate. But in Haiti, you can buy a blank birth certificate. You fill it up yourself. On the birth certificate, they listed me as their biological child. They selected a birthday. They gave me their own last name. And they didn't call me Bobby on the birth certificate. They called me Jean-Robert Cadet. And I was taken to the airport in Haiti. When I was sitting in my seat, I opened the documents. I was reading the birth certificate. It's like I was reading about somebody else's life. The birth certificate said, Florence, the woman I was giving to, was my mother, but she was actually my owner. It says I was born in a hospital. No, I was born in a mountain, in the northern mountain in Haiti. And everything was wrong. So when I landed in New York, they came and picked me up from the airport. They took me to their homes. I didn't even know I was being trafficked as a child. I must have been the first child trafficked into the United States. It was in the mid-70s, 1970s. They took me to their home, and then they explained it to me. They said, you're going to get up in the morning. You're going to do exactly what you used to do in Haiti. You're going to set the table for breakfast. You're going to clean the floor. After that, you're going to wash dishes. You're going to vacuum the house. You're going to clean the bathroom. You're going to wash the car. You're going to sweep the yard. And then when we're eating, you're going to stand beside the table. If we need salt, water, you served us. So I was in New York doing this. And then one day, a Haitian friend, a man from Haiti, who had known them a long time ago, and he had known me in Haiti, and he came to visit, said, oh, I see you brought Bobby in New York. And they said, oh, yeah, he's here to help us. The man said, have you enrolled him in school? School? He can't. I don't think he can read. What would he be doing at school? Oh, in the United States, if you don't send a child to school and he's not yet 18, you can get in trouble with the law. You can actually go to jail. Oh, they were afraid. They enrolled me in a high school. Because the fake birth certificate said I was 16 years old, they put me in the 10th grade. So I went from 2 years of school to 10th grade. And I didn't speak English, not a word. After school, I come to the house. They were verbally abusive. They said, we brought you here to help us. You spend all day in school. The house is dirty. After a few months, they said, get out, get out. We don't want you anymore. So I became a street child in New York. In New York, it was in the middle of the winter, too. I was sleeping in an all-night laundromat. And the reason I slept in I didn't even know there were where to go. So I went to the all-night laundromat because every weekend, they would give me 75 cents to go wash my clothes because the washing machine in the house was off limits to me. They didn't want slave clothes mixed with their own clothes. They are black like me. In fact, my skin is a little bit lighter than their skins. So there I was in a laundromat sleeping. I get up in the morning early. I go to the intersection, and I got on the bus, and the bus took me going to school. And in the morning for breakfast, the kids eat breakfast in the morning in the cafeteria. I position myself next to the garbage can. When they dump their tray, I look around, nobody's watching. And I would reach for something. And one day I got caught. And the kids started to make fun of me. They said, he eats in the garbage. He's a dog, he eats in the garbage. I didn't know what to do. But there was a teacher. This teacher saw me crying, and he said, "What's wrong? Why are you crying?" And I said, "I don't have a home." He said, "You ran away from home?" I didn't even know what that means, running away from home. I said, "No, I never had a home. I was working for this family in Haiti. They brought me here to New York to continue working for them. Because I go to school, I spend all my time in school. They told me to get out." Those teachers and the school principal took me, they gave me a letter, they sent me to the welfare office. A teacher looked for a room in the home of someone. I pay, the welfare system pay for the room. And then they gave me food stamps, coupon, you go, not money, they're coupons, you took it to the grocery store, and then you get food. And the teachers started to tutor me. In addition to my regular classes, they would tutor me during their office hours. And in 3 years, I graduated from high school. In 3 years. I couldn't believe it. They gave me my diploma. A diploma. Wow. Then I found a job in a gas station, pumping gas. And I thought I would be doing this for the rest of my life, pumping gas. It was nice because the mechanics were nice to me. Then one day, I had nothing to do. I went for a walk somewhere. And then I noticed a small building with large windows. I looked in, and then there were posters of soldiers jumping out of airplanes. Tanks, military, vehicles. But the people jumping, the parachute jumping out of the airplane really caught my attention. So I went inside the building, and I said to this man in uniform and said, "May I help you?" I said, "I work in a gas station, and I change oil in cars. How do you change oil in a tank?" And he said, "You've come to the right place." He said, "We can teach you that." I said, "What a nice man you are." I thought he had a tank in the backyard. He was going to take me to the backyard and show me how to change oil. But he took me to the city. I had to take a test, and I passed the test. After I passed the test, he said, "Raise your right hand, repeat after me." Then I took an oath. I thought, this tank must be a secret tank because you have to take an oath to change the oil. So I promised I would never show anybody how to change oil in a tank. It's a secret. Then he gave me another appointment. He said, "Come back next week. There will be a bus waiting for you. The bus will take you to the place where you can change oil in a tank." And he gave me a bunch of papers to sign. Sign here, okay? Sign here, okay? Sign here, okay? I didn't even know what I was signing. Then I showed up, I got in the bus, and they took me to a big military base. And then I said, there was a lot of tanks. It's like tank heavens, lots of tanks. And then at the end of the day, I said, excuse me, I have to go back to work. And he said, you belong to Uncle Sam. Huh. And I thought, I've never had an uncle before. I thought there was an uncle. You belong to Uncle Sam. And I wanted to meet Uncle Sam. Then I stayed in the military for 3 years. 3 years. I thought I was going to stay in the military forever until the sergeant came to me and said, your time is up. What are you going to do? Are you going to go to civilian life or are you going to stay in the military? I said, I will stay in the military because I didn't know where else to go. And he said, if you go out, you can go to university and study. And I said, what if I go to university and then I don't succeed? He said, you'll succeed. I know you'll succeed. Then I got out of the military, and then he said to me, if you don't succeed, come back. I said, wow. If you don't succeed, come back. Now I have a home to go to. But I enrolled in universities. I succeeded. And in 4 years, I had my degree in international affairs. Then I became a teacher. Then I got married. But every day, the images of this little girl being punished stayed with me. It stayed in my mind. And I decided I would write what I lived in Haiti. I didn't even know I was writing my own autobiography. I was just writing what happened to me in Haiti. After a year, my wife kept asking me, when am I going to read what you've been writing? I said, no, it's my secret. I don't go into your purse. Why do you want to read my stuff? And this is when I started to learn about women. They're curious. I had my key around my neck, and where I locked my things that I wrote. And one day I came home from the grocery store, she was reading them. Oh, I felt so much shame. Because it's not a story you want to share with people. Then my wife said to me, you should publish this. And I gave this book to a professor where I was doing my master's degree. And he read it and he said, you should publish this. I'm going to help you publish it. And this book became the voice of children in slavery in Haiti. I talk about them at the United Nations, the International Labor Organization. Then I decided to develop a song to change the culture of slavery. This is a child slave. I took this picture 3 years ago. This is exactly what I used to do in Haiti, carry children to school. But nobody sees this child. He's just invisible. It's so ingrained into the culture, no one noticed them.
L'envie qu'on est réveillé, les arrivés, pour nous bricher la ken, pour nous à tout le monde les gens, il est pour tout le monde, grede tout le monde. Bon Dieu créé tout ti moun égal égaux. Mais gen un pile ti moun yap tout busy. Est-ce que ti moun kon choisi qui côté pour yo fait? Est-ce que ti moun décide Jean pour yo vivre? La misère fait par un lit désespéré. Yo fait confiance yo ba ou ti petite là. En guise la vie mio, ou maltraite tout gens, ou fait le travail coubouri, quoi payer ça? L'envie qu'on est réveillé, les arrivés, pour nous briser la quête, pour nous à tout le monde les gens, il est pour tout le monde, et des petits monde. Si comme Kembe, mes Jojo, yo gen même l'âge, la mène Jojo l'école, il pied à terre, les Jojo disent bye bye, ticket, ti cam cassé, il t'a aimé à l'école, mais c'est pas droit. Gardez la peine là pour ça, café codé, en bas, bête sous dos, la sac livre, route la chargée la boue, soulier toto pap sale, la pour ça bien porté non, il la pour ça. L'envie qu'on est réveillé, les arrivés, pour nous briser la quête, pour nous à tout le monde les gens, il est pour tout le monde, et des petits monde. C'est grand monde qui s'y posait des petits monde, while yo viré tête en bas à la traka. Fiel là pour ça fin pété, ti kam en vie sauvé, contre la vie ti moun sa yo, c'est pas sérieux.
Sou persiste ignorer droit ti moun yo, sou pas je ti kam la pour ça. Les Jéhovah l'ouvri, les a dit c'est toi patron, Alberto Chojo avec au pape ça dormi. L'envie qu'on est réveillé,
les arrivés, pour nous briser la quête, pour nous à tout le monde les gens,
il est pour tout le monde, et des petits monde. L'envie qu'on est réveillé,
les arrivés, pour nous briser la quête, pour nous à tout le monde les gens,
il est pour tout le monde, et des petits monde.
Thank you. The song is in the mind of over 1 million children in Haiti. It's a campaign, and I started doing to change the culture. A culture can be changed through the children themselves. So I ran out of time. I don't want to take any more time. And I thank you very much for the invitation, and I'm sure I will be here and waiting for your questions. Thank you.